Thank you for tuning in to the all-new season of Stories Philippines podcast. Teachers Camp, a storied landmark of Baguio. Nestled in the serene, pine-covered hills of Baguio City lies Teachers Camp, a historical landmark that has been an integral part of the community for over a century. Established in 1908, this sprawling complex was originally designed as a summer retreat and training center for educators across the Philippines. Its lush landscapes, colonial-style architecture, and tranquil atmosphere have made it a beloved destination for teachers seeking respite and professional development. The camp's picturesque setting offers more than just aesthetic pleasure. It holds a deep cultural and historical significance, having hosted numerous educational and cultural activities over the years. Local folklore is rich with stories about the camp, enhancing its mystical allure among residents and visitors alike. Some tales are heartwarming, while others venture into the realm of the supernatural, contributing to the camp's enigmatic reputation. The Guardians of the Night. Among the various personnel ensuring the smooth operation of Teachers Camp are the night guards. These individuals, often overlooked, play a crucial role in maintaining security and order during the silent hours. Two such dedicated guards are Carlo and Ramon, both seasoned veterans with years of experience patrolling the labyrinthine paths and shadowy corners of the camp. Carlo, the elder of the two, is a man of few words but possesses a keen eye for detail. His stoic demeanor and methodical approach to his duties make him a reliable presence during the graveyard shift. Ramon, younger and more affable, complements Carlo's seriousness with his easygoing nature and sharp instincts. Together, they form a balanced team, well-suited to handle the nocturnal challenges of Teachers Camp. The Quiet Night Shift. As the clock strikes midnight, Teachers Camp undergoes a transformation. The once bustling grounds fall into a profound silence, interrupted only by the occasional rustle of leaves or the distant call of a night bird. By 3 a.m., the stillness is almost palpable, the air heavy with an eerie tranquility. It is during these hours that the camp feels most isolated, enveloped in darkness and imbued with an otherworldly calm. For Carlo and Ramon, the night shift follows a familiar routine. They begin their rounds together, ensuring all gates are locked and the pathways clear. As the night deepens, they split up to cover more ground, maintaining contact through their handheld radios. Despite the monotony, they remain vigilant, aware that the quiet can sometimes be deceptive. The mysterious voice. One particularly uneventful night, as the guards were nearing the end of their shift, something unusual occurred. Through the static of their radios, a faint, high-pitched voice began to emerge. At first, it was barely audible, but as they strained to listen, the unmistakable sound of a child's laughter and soft-spoken words became clearer. Both guards were taken aback. Carlo, thinking it might be Ramon's child playing with the radio, called out, "Ramon, is your kid there with you?" Ramon, equally perplexed, responded, "No, Carlo, I thought it was yours." Realization of the unexplained. The seconds stretched into minutes as the guards tried to make sense of what they were hearing. It soon became evident that neither had brought a child with them. The realization hit them simultaneously, sending chills down their spines. The voice on the radio was not coming from either of their locations. "Carlo, where is that voice coming from?" Ramon asked, his voice tinged with unease. Carlo, usually unflappable, felt a knot of tension forming in his stomach. "I don't know, but we need to find out," he replied, trying to maintain his composure. Investigating the source. Determined to uncover the source of the mysterious voice, the guards decided to conduct a thorough search of the camp. They started by retracing their steps, checking each building and room they had previously secured. The laughter and whispers seemed to follow them, always just out of reach. As they ventured deeper into the camp, the atmosphere grew increasingly unsettling. Shadows seemed to dance at the edge of their vision and the silence was occasionally broken by unexplained noises. Despite their best efforts, no logical explanation could be found. The voice remained elusive, adding to the growing sense of dread. Aftermath and reflections. By the time dawn broke, Carlo and Ramon were exhausted, both physically and mentally. They regrouped at the main gate, their faces etched with confusion and lingering fear. The voice had vanished as mysteriously as it had appeared, leaving behind more questions than answers. Later that day, they shared their experience with colleagues and supervisors. To their surprise, several others recounted similar incidents, tales of disembodied voices, and unexplained phenomena that seemed to be an open secret among the staff. These discussions only deepened the mystery, making it clear that Teachers Camp harbored secrets that defied conventional understanding. The encounter left Carlo and Ramon pondering the nature of their experience. Was it a mere trick of the mind, a product of fatigue and the eerie ambiance of the camp? Or was there something more, a glimpse into the supernatural that defied rational explanation? As listeners, we are invited to consider these possibilities. Could it be that Teachers Camp, with its rich history and storied past, holds more than just memories within its grounds? Perhaps the inexplicable events are a testament to the camp's enigmatic charm, a reminder that some mysteries are meant to remain unsolved. We encourage you to share your own spooky experiences or thoughts on the mysterious child's voice at Teachers Camp. Whether you are a skeptic or a believer, one thing is certain: stories like these continue to captivate our imagination, inviting us to explore the boundaries between the known and the unknown. As the clock struck 3 a.m., a profound silence enveloped Teachers Camp in Baguio. Nestled amidst lush pine trees and rolling hills, this historic site is renowned for its serene beauty and mysterious allure. By day, it bustles with educators attending seminars and retreats. However, as night falls, the camp transforms into an eerie landscape of shadows and whispers. The stillness of the early morning hours is almost palpable. The gentle rustling of leaves and the occasional hooting of an owl are the only sounds that punctuate the quiet. Even the wind seems to respect the tranquility of this hour, barely stirring the branches. The dim glow of streetlights casts long, distorted shadows, adding to the camp's ghostly ambience. Carlo and Ramon, two veteran night guards, were well acquainted with the camp's nocturnal stillness. Their night shift routine was as methodical as it was monotonous. Each night, they would start with a patrol of the camp's perimeter. They checked every corner, ensuring that the gates were securely locked and the premises were safe from intruders. Once their initial round was complete, they would settle into their designated posts. Carlo usually took his position near the main entrance, while Ramon preferred the guardhouse closer to the dormitories. Equipped with radios, flashlights, and a logbook, they maintained regular communication, reporting any unusual activity. Despite the routine nature of their job, the guards remained vigilant. Teachers Camp, with its rich history and numerous folklore tales, had its fair share of strange occurrences. Over the years, Carlo and Ramon had heard countless stories from colleagues about unexplained sightings and eerie sounds. But, being seasoned professionals, they had learned to dismiss most of these tales as mere fabrications or tricks of the mind. On this particular night, everything seemed as ordinary as ever. The camp lay in deep slumber, with not a soul stirring. Carlo, sitting by the main gate, found himself fighting off sleep. He glanced at his watch, 3:05 a.m. He stretched and took a sip from his thermos, the warm coffee providing a brief respite from the cold. Meanwhile, Ramon was making his way back to the guardhouse after a quick check of the dormitory area. He paused for a moment, taking in the quiet surroundings. The camp looked peaceful, bathed in the soft glow of the moonlight. Little did they know, this tranquil night was about to take a sinister turn. Just as Ramon reached the guardhouse, he heard a faint crackle over his radio. He picked up the device, expecting a routine check-in from Carlo. Instead, he was met with silence. He tried again. "Carlo, do you copy?" A few seconds later, Carlo's voice came through, slightly distorted. "Yes, I'm here. Everything all right?" Ramon replied. Yeah, just checking. Thought I heard something. Carlo's response was reassuring. Probably just the wind. It's been unusually quiet tonight. With that, Ramon resumed his duties, unaware of the strange events that were about to unfold. As the minutes ticked by, the guards continued their watch in relative silence. The calmness of the night was almost hypnotic, lulling them into a false sense of security. But the stillness was deceptive. For beneath the surface of this serene facade, something inexplicable was brewing. Unbeknownst to Carlo and Ramon, their routine night shift was on the brink of descending into a realm of the unknown. The mysterious child's voice that would soon echo through their radios was just moments away, poised to shatter the calm and plunge them into a baffling and eerie experience. As the clock approached 3:15 a.m., the guards remained oblivious to the impending disturbance. For now, the night remained quiet, the camp held its breath, and the air grew thick with an unspoken tension. The stage was set for an encounter that would forever change their perception of Teachers Camp and its many secrets. The first signs of the unusual. As the clock approached 3 a.m., guards Carlo and Ramon were well into their shift at Teachers Camp in Baguio. The camp, known for its tranquil atmosphere and occasional eerie stories among locals, was particularly quiet that night. The stillness was almost palpable, interrupted only by the occasional rustling of leaves or distant hoot of an owl. The guards, accustomed to the silence and solitude, continued their rounds with their radios crackling intermittently. Suddenly, an unexpected sound broke through the static, a faint voice. At first, it was barely discernible, but then it became clear, a child's voice, seemingly calling out. Both guards paused, trying to make sense of what they were hearing. Carlo was the first to react, his brow furrowing in confusion. He glanced at Ramon, who appeared equally perplexed. "Did you hear that?" Carlo asked, his voice tinged with uncertainty. Ramon nodded, adjusting the volume on his radio as if that might clarify the mysterious transmission. Their immediate assumption was a logical one. Perhaps one of their children had somehow activated a radio at home, accidentally broadcasting their voice over the channels. It seemed unlikely, but not impossible. Carlo thought of his young daughter, known for her curiosity about his work equipment. Could she have managed to turn on the radio? "Is that your kid?" Ramon asked Carlo, half-jokingly, trying to mask the unease creeping into his thoughts. Carlo shook his head slowly, a frown deepening on his face. "I don't think so. I left the radio out of reach," he replied. The guards continued to listen, hoping for more clues. However, the child's voice only repeated a few indistinct words before fading into silence once more. A chilling realization began to set in. Neither guard had brought a child with them to the camp. The idea that the voice could belong to one of their own children quickly dissolved into absurdity. "Wait," Carlo said, breaking the silence between them. "Neither of us has a kid here tonight, so whose voice was that?" His question hung in the air, unanswered, amplifying the growing tension. Ramon, usually the more skeptical of the two, found himself at a loss for a rational explanation. "Maybe it's some kind of interference," he suggested weakly, though even he didn't seem convinced by his own words. Determined to uncover the source of the voice, the guards decided to conduct a thorough search of the camp. They split up, each taking one side of the vast grounds, their flashlights cutting through the darkness. The eeriness of their search was compounded by the oppressive quiet that had returned, making every small sound seem magnified and significant. As they combed through the empty classrooms, dormitories, and open fields, the sense of isolation grew stronger. Despite their efforts, they found no signs of a child or anyone else who could have been the source of the mysterious voice. The radios remained silent, adding to the surreal nature of the experience. Their search led them to the edge of the camp, near the dense forest that bordered the property. The trees loomed large and dark, their branches swaying gently in the night breeze. Carlo shivered, not from the cold, but from the unsettling feeling that they were being watched. Despite their best efforts, the source of the voice remained elusive, leaving them with more questions than answers. Back at their post, Carlo and Ramon exchanged uneasy glances. The experience had left them both shaken, their usual stoic demeanor replaced by a palpable sense of unease. They debated whether to report the incident to their supervisor, knowing it would be met with skepticism. Ultimately, they decided to keep it to themselves, at least for the time being. Over the next few days, they discreetly inquired among their colleagues if anyone had experienced anything similar. To their surprise, they discovered that other guards had also heard unexplained voices or sounds during their night shifts, though none could provide a definitive explanation. The encounter left a lasting impression on both Carlo and Ramon. While they eventually resumed their regular routines, the memory of that night lingered. They couldn't shake the feeling that there was something more to teachers' camp than met the eye, something that defied logical explanation. The mysterious child's voice at teachers' camp remains an enigma, one that continues to intrigue and unsettle those who hear about it. As listeners reflect on this story, they are invited to consider the possibility of supernatural phenomena or other explanations that might account for such occurrences. Have you ever experienced something similar? Share your own spooky experiences or thoughts on the mysterious child's voice at teachers' camp. The truth may be out there, waiting to be uncovered. Carlo and Ramon stood still, each holding their radios, desperately trying to make sense of the situation. The child's voice had faded, but its eerie echo seemed to linger in the air around them. They exchanged puzzled glances, each hoping the other would provide some logical explanation. But as they communicated, it became clear neither had brought a child with them. In fact, both their children were safely at home, miles away from teachers' camp. "It can't be my kid," Carlo finally said, breaking the silence. "She's with her grandmother tonight." Ramon nodded, his face pale. "And my son is at his mother's house. This doesn't make any sense." The realization hit them like a cold wave, sending shivers down their spines. What they had initially dismissed as a simple misunderstanding now felt ominous. The night, which had been routine and uneventful just moments ago, was suddenly filled with an indescribable tension. Both men felt the weight of the unknown pressing down on them. "Maybe it was interference," Carlo suggested, though he didn't sound convinced. "Radios can pick up strange signals sometimes." Ramon shook his head slowly. "But it sounded so clear, like the child was right here with us." They both knew that random interference couldn't account for such clarity and distinctiveness. Their minds raced through possible explanations, but each one seemed more far-fetched than the last. The guards, typically grounded and rational, found themselves grappling with an uncharacteristic unease. Their conversation grew more tense as both men tried to make sense of the inexplicable occurrence. They checked their radios, even switching frequencies, but there was no sign of any other signal. The realization that they were dealing with something beyond their control or understanding started to set in. "What do we do now?" Carlo asked, looking around nervously. Ramon didn't have an answer. The usual night shift, characterized by routine patrols and quiet vigilance, had turned into a surreal experience that defied logic. They were used to dealing with tangible threats like trespassers or emergencies, but this was something else entirely. Trying to calm themselves, they reviewed their earlier assumptions. Perhaps there was a rational explanation, some piece of information they had overlooked. They discussed possibilities ranging from a prank to technical glitches, but none of these fit the scenario they'd experienced. "Maybe someone's messing with us," Ramon speculated. "It wouldn't be the first time someone pulled a prank." Carlo nodded, though his expression remained doubtful. "Could be. But who? And why go to all this trouble?" Their questions hung in the air, unanswered. Despite their efforts to find a reasonable explanation, the nagging feeling that something was amiss persisted. As the hours dragged on, the incident weighed heavily on their minds. They continued their patrols, but their thoughts kept returning to the mysterious voice. Every creak of the wooden buildings, every rustle of leaves seemed amplified, making them jumpy and alert to the slightest noise. The night's silence, once a comforting constant, now felt oppressive and filled with unseen threats. The guards, usually confident and composed, struggled to maintain their composure. The line between reality and imagination blurred, leaving them questioning their own perceptions. When their shift finally ended, Carlo and Ramon were eager to share their experience with their colleagues. They hoped for reassurance. Perhaps someone else had encountered something similar. To their surprise, their story was met with nods and knowing looks. "You heard it too?" one of the senior guards asked. "That child's voice. It's been reported before. Always around the same time, always the same confusion." Stories emerged of other guards hearing the disembodied voice, each encounter as unexplained as the last. Some attributed it to the history of Teachers Camp, a place steeped in stories and legends. Others remained skeptical, attributing it to overactive imaginations fueled by the isolation and darkness of the night shifts. For Carlo and Ramon, the experience left a lasting impact. It shattered their routines and introduced an element of the unknown into their familiar environment. They found themselves reflecting on the nature of their job, the limits of human understanding, and the possibility of phenomena that defy logical explanation. "I've never believed in ghosts or anything like that," Carlo admitted. "But after tonight, I'm not so sure anymore." Ramon agreed, adding, "It makes you wonder what else is out there, things we can't see or explain." The incident at Teachers Camp remains an unsolved mystery, a reminder of how little we sometimes understand about the world around us. It invites you listeners to consider the possibility of supernatural phenomena or other explanations that lie beyond our current knowledge. Have you ever experienced something similar? A moment that defied explanation and left you questioning reality? We invite you to share your own spooky experiences or thoughts on the mysterious child's voice at Teachers Camp. The unknown has a way of captivating our imaginations, urging us to explore the boundaries of our understanding. Investigating the source, the guards' determination. Carlo and Ramon, the security guards at Teachers Camp, were determined to uncover the source of the mysterious child's voice they had heard over their radios. The eerie experience had left both men unsettled, but it also piqued their curiosity. They decided to embark on a thorough search of the premises, hoping to find any logical explanation for what they had encountered. Methodical search begins. The guards began their investigation by retracing their steps from earlier in the night. They started with the areas where they had been stationed when they first heard the voice. Carlo took the northern section of the camp, while Ramon covered the southern part. Both men moved cautiously, their flashlights cutting through the darkness as they scanned for any signs of movement or evidence of a child's presence. Checking the dormitories. The dormitories were their first stop. These buildings, often filled with the sounds of students during the day, were now eerily silent. Carlo and Ramon checked each room methodically, ensuring that no stone was left unturned. They looked under beds, in closets, and behind furniture, but found nothing out of the ordinary. The beds were neatly made, and there were no signs of recent occupancy. Exploring the grounds. Next, the guards explored the outdoor areas of Teachers Camp. The moonlight cast long shadows across the grounds, adding to the sense of unease. They walked along the pathways, through the gardens, and around the sports fields. Occasionally, the wind rustled the leaves, creating noises that made their hearts race. Despite their thorough search, there was no sign of a child anywhere outside. The old administration building. One of the last places they checked was the old administration building. This structure, with its creaky floors and dimly lit hallways, had an atmosphere that could easily be described as spooky. As they entered, the sound of their footsteps echoed through the empty corridors. They checked every office, storage room, and common area. The building, however, offered no clues. It was just as empty and quiet as the rest of the camp. The radio equipment. After exhausting all physical locations, Carlo and Ramon turned their attention to their radio equipment. They inspected the devices closely, looking for any signs of malfunction. The radios appeared to be in perfect working order, and there was no indication that they had picked up an external signal. This only deepened the mystery, as it seemed increasingly unlikely that the voice could have been transmitted through any conventional means. Consulting technology. Desperate for answers, the guards even considered the possibility that their radios had somehow intercepted a signal from a nearby house or another communication device. They reached out to local authorities and neighboring institutions to check if anyone else had experienced similar interference. Their inquiries, however, yielded no results. No one else had reported hearing a child's voice on their radios that night. Final attempts. As a last resort, Carlo and Ramon decided to stay on high alert for the remainder of their shift, hoping the voice might return and provide more information. They kept their radios close and continued to patrol the camp, but the voice never came back. The night remained silent, and the sense of eerie quietness persisted until dawn, the unsolved mystery. By the time their shift ended, Carlo and Ramon were left with more questions than answers. Despite their best efforts, they could not find any logical explanation for the child's voice they had heard. The experience was unsettling, and it left them questioning the nature of reality and the possible existence of phenomena beyond human understanding. Later, when discussing the incident with their colleagues and supervisors, Carlo and Ramon discovered that they were not alone in their experience. Other guards and staff members shared stories of unexplained occurrences at teachers' camp, ranging from strange noises to ghostly apparitions. These shared experiences added a layer of credibility to their own encounter, but they also deepened the mystery. The investigation into the source of the mysterious child's voice at teachers' camp ultimately led to more questions than answers. While Carlo and Ramon were unable to find any concrete evidence, their experience remains a topic of fascination and speculation among those who work at and visit the camp. As listeners consider the possibility of supernatural phenomena, you are invited to share their own spooky experiences or thoughts on the mysterious child's voice at teachers' camp. The moment the guards, Carlo and Ramon, realized that neither had brought a child to their late-night shift at teachers' camp, a palpable sense of confusion and unease settled between them. The mysterious child's voice over their radios was an experience unlike any they had encountered before. The immediate reaction was a mix of disbelief and nervous laughter, hoping to dislodge the chill creeping up their spines. Carlo, known for his practical nature, was the first to break the silence. "Maybe it's some kind of interference," he suggested, though his tone lacked conviction. Ramon nodded in agreement, but his eyes betrayed his discomfort. They both knew that radio interference typically sounded different, more static, and less like the clear, innocent voice they had just heard. Discussing with colleagues and supervisors. The following day, Carlo and Ramon were eager to share their strange experience with their colleagues and supervisors. They hoped that someone might offer a logical explanation or, at the very least, validate their encounter. As they recounted the night's events, a hush fell over the security office. The other guards listened intently, their expressions shifting from curiosity to concern. Their supervisor, Mr. Alvarado, a seasoned veteran of teachers' camp, furrowed his brow. "This isn't the first time we've heard about something like this," he admitted. He went on to recount similar stories from previous guards who had experienced unexplained phenomena during their night shifts. Some had reported hearing footsteps when no one was around. Others had seen fleeting shadows in the corners of their eyes. Shared stories of unexplained incidents. Intrigued by the conversation, other guards began to share their own eerie experiences at teachers' camp. One guard, Luis, spoke of an incident where he heard faint music playing from an empty building late at night. Another, Maria, recalled seeing a little girl in old-fashioned clothes standing near the entrance gate, only for the figure to vanish when approached. These shared stories painted a picture of Teachers Camp as a place steeped in mystery. The camp, established in the early 1900s, has long been rumored to be haunted. Locals often speak of its storied past, filled with tales of restless spirits and inexplicable occurrences. The guards' experiences seem to add another layer to these enduring legends, reflecting on the mystery. As Carlo and Ramon reflected on their encounter, they couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to Teachers Camp than met the eye. The rational explanations they initially clung to seemed inadequate in the face of the evidence. Despite their efforts to locate the source of the child's voice, they had come up empty-handed, leaving them with more questions than answers. The guards began to ponder the possibility of supernatural phenomena. Could the child's voice have been a manifestation of a spirit? Was it possible that Teachers Camp was indeed haunted, as so many locals believed? These thoughts, once dismissed as mere superstition, now seemed plausible, if not likely. The impact on their duties. The experience also had a noticeable impact on Carlo and Ramon's approach to their duties. They became more vigilant, paying closer attention to their surroundings during their night shifts. Every creak of the floorboards and rustle of the leaves took on new significance. While they continued to perform their tasks diligently, the atmosphere of the camp felt different, charged with a sense of anticipation and unease. The mysterious child's voice at Teachers Camp remains an enigma. For Carlo and Ramon, the experience served as a stark reminder that not everything can be easily explained. It invited them, and by extension, all who hear their story, to consider the possibility of supernatural phenomena. As listeners reflect on this tale, they are encouraged to share their own spooky experiences or thoughts on the matter. Could there be a logical explanation for the child's voice? Or does it point to something beyond our understanding? The mystery of Teachers Camp continues to captivate and intrigue, inviting us all to wonder about the unseen forces that may dwell among us. The enigmatic voice of a child that echoed through the radios at Teachers Camp remains an unsolved mystery, one that continues to haunt the memories of guards Carlo and Ramon. Their experience, which sparked curiosity and unease among their colleagues, has opened the door to numerous speculations and discussions about the supernatural occurrences that seem to permeate this historic location. Teachers Camp in Baguio is no stranger to tales of the unexplained. Built during the American colonial period, it carries a rich history that many believe includes ghostly presences. The guards' encounter with the mysterious child's voice adds another layer to the camp's eerie reputation. Could it be that they experienced a genuine paranormal phenomenon? The idea is both captivating and unsettling. Supernatural explanations often find fertile ground in places with deep historical roots, like Teachers Camp. Theories range from echoes of past events trapped in time to spirits of those who once lived or visited there. For locals familiar with the camp's haunted legends, the occurrence of such events is almost expected, adding to the mystique and allure of the place. While the notion of supernatural activity is intriguing, there are also more mundane possibilities to consider. Could the mysterious voice have been a prank or a technical glitch? The guards' radios, though reliable, are not immune to interference. Crossed signals and electronic disturbances might offer a rational explanation for the inexplicable voice. However, the clarity and distinctiveness of the child's voice, as described by Carlo and Ramon, make these explanations less convincing. Another possibility is the psychological aspect. Working late-night shifts in an isolated and historically eerie environment can heighten one's senses and susceptibility to suggestion. The mind, under stress and fatigue, might interpret ordinary sounds in unusual ways, giving rise to experiences that feel real but are ultimately products of imagination. The story of the mysterious child's voice at Teachers Camp invites listeners to reflect on their own encounters with the unexplainable. Have you ever experienced something that defies logical explanation? Sharing these stories not only helps us connect with others who have had similar experiences, but also contributes to our understanding of phenomena that science has yet to fully explain. We invite you to share your spooky experiences or thoughts on the mysterious child's voice at Teachers Camp. Whether you believe in the supernatural or lean towards logical explanations, your perspective is valuable. Engage in the conversation, and perhaps together we can uncover more about the mysteries that surround us. Have you ever heard a voice when no one was there? Do you believe in ghosts or other supernatural entities? What are your thoughts on the guards' experience at Teachers Camp? Join the discussion and share your stories with us. Whether fueled by belief in the supernatural or grounded in skepticism, each account adds to the rich tapestry of human experience that makes places like Teachers Camp endlessly fascinating. For more insights and stories related to Teachers Camp and other haunted locations, stay tuned for our upcoming chapters and upcoming features, where we will delve deeper into the history and mysteries that give such places their unique character. From the architectural remnants that whisper stories of the past to the natural phenomena that often get mistaken for paranormal activity, there is much to explore and understand. In our next chapter, we will investigate similar phenomena at other historically rich locations around the world. We will examine the common threads that tie these experiences together and consult experts in psychology, history, and paranormal research to shed light on the myriad ways humans interpret and react to the unknown. Furthermore, we plan to explore the role of culture and folklore in shaping our perceptions of haunted places. How do local legends perpetuate certain beliefs, and how do these beliefs in turn influence our experiences? The intersection of history, culture, and psychology offers a fascinating lens through which to view the stories of Teachers Camp and beyond. We also recognize the importance of scientific skepticism and critical thinking in understanding events that seem to defy explanation. Our journey will include a look at the tools and techniques used by researchers attempting to debunk or validate claims of supernatural occurrences.